what is all this commission talk on all the news? So I have lots of people asking me and wanted to give you a really brief overview as well as my take for it. I'm Brittany Stewart, your favorite realtor, and wanted to explain this because unfortunately, like always, the media puts out a lot of misinformation. You've seen a lot of things, but what is proposed to change in July is the way that we disclose how buyer agent commission is offered. So in the past, it's been a pre-negotiated determined amount through a listing agreement. So the seller would decide how much commission they were going to pay in total, which was split between the seller's agent, the listing agent, or the buyer's agent. And then that information, what we call a co-op, was then placed in our multiple listing service, the MLS. Unfortunately, some realtors would see a lower compensation and decide not to show those properties to their potential buyers. So what they have done and what this proposed law change does after the settlement through NAR is it eliminates the ability to disclose the information in terms of what percentage of the co-op or the buyer's agent commission is going to be offered so that we don't have that. So it's offering transparency. Now, that doesn't mean that the seller cannot still pay for the buyer agent commission as it's been traditionally occurred for many, many years in the United States. What it means is that instead of negotiating through the MLS of a predetermined amount, those things can be disclosed in the contract, typically in a form of a seller concession to pay for the buyer's agency. Now, one of the things about my team, for those of you that have worked with us, we always work on a buyer agency representation, so a buyer rep agreement. In the state of Texas, we cannot provide advice and opinion. That's why you don't see days on market published or sales data published without having this instrument. That is the buyer representation agreement. So up front, we are having those conversations with the buyer that the compensation is their responsibility should we not collect that from the seller. I know a lot of the frenzy in a lot of other states have been having a really difficult time with this because they're not under agency agreements, or that's not something that's been woven into the fabric of their business already. Texas is a little advanced on that because we have already had to have that instrument in place to be able to give you guys advice and opinion. Also, they are going to want us to have that agreement and agency in place prior to showing a buyer any homes. So when you see an agent requesting this information and having these conversations, make sure that you know we're not trying to be difficult. We just are going to have this going forward in terms of our agreement. So it is going to be very important that you choose agents wisely and that agents also are educated on what this process looks like and that it can be explained properly. Because if not, sometimes unfortunately misinformation happens. And in addition to that, the media is already blowing this up about a 6% commission or 3% or whatever percentage it is. It's always been negotiable. And of course, you want to make sure that you have a professional that is bringing you the value for the amount of money that you're going to be compensated. Much like you would, of course, you can do your own taxes or you can hire a CPA. You can file your own will or you can hire a good attorney. And so real estate happens to be that same way. So if you have any questions, of course, I'm not an expert, but I do think that it is very specific to our industry to really have an understanding. I've sat on a lot of masterminds and a lot of leadership have come out with a lot of talk points. EXP is great. We've already started pivoting and bringing a lot of documentation and videos to be able to explain this. And just want to give you guys the true, real information out there now so that it eliminates any confusion or misinformation that you may have from that. So if you have any questions, feel free, PM me, let me know. Happy to answer anything. And if I don't know, I'll try to find out.